The streets of Zarkon City were alive with noise. The chatter of aliens of all shapes and sizes blending with the clatter of market stalls, merchants shouting their deals, and children laughing as they chased small glowing creatures across the cobblestones. Suddenly a deep rumble shook the ground, making everyone stop and look around in confusion. The sky above turned dark as the sound of engines grew louder, and a sharp metallic screech cut through the air. Human eyes widened as he saw the first flashes of chaos. Alien soldiers in black armor bursting into the market, weapons that glowed with blue energy in their hands, firing at anyone who moved. The crowd screamed and scattered, people falling and tripping over each other while stalls exploded into fire, sending colorful goods and strange food flying in every direction. The smell of burning spices and smoke filled the air. Amid the panic, a small figure caught his attention. A young alien girl with pale lavender skin and silver hair, no taller than a human child, frozen in fear at the edge of the square, her glowing eyes wide as the soldiers advanced. Without thinking, the human ran toward her, dodging debris and falling merchants, every step making his heart pound faster. Adrenaline screaming through his veins. "Come with me," he shouted, grabbing her hand, but before she could move, a blinding flash erupted nearby, a shockwave throwing him to the ground. He felt heat and pressure crushing him, the world around him turning into chaos, screams and shouts mixed with the sound of tearing metal. And instinctively he threw his body over the girl, shielding her from the worst of the blast. The explosion was immense, fire and smoke filling the square, tossing him like a rag doll. Pain searing through his body as the air turned thick and heavy, his ears ringing from the deafening roar. When he opened his eyes, the market was unrecognizable. Twisted metal and broken stalls scattered everywhere. Alien bodies sprawled across the ground, some moaning, some silent, and the smoke still hung in thick clouds. He struggled to move, coughing as dust filled his lungs, but his hand was still, holding hers, the girl shaking but alive, her wide eyes staring at him with gratitude and fear. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice hoarse, his own body aching, and she nodded, trembling. Yes," she whispered, barely audible over the chaos. The soldiers were retreating, but the danger was far from over. Others were coming from the side streets, their armored suits glinting as they moved quickly, scanning for survivors, and the human knew he had little time. He pulled the girl to her feet, keeping low, trying to stay behind overturned carts and debris. The market square feeling like a maze of danger, every corner hiding the threat of death. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes wide with trust, and he felt a strange sense of responsibility, a need to protect her at all costs, even though he barely knew her. "Stay close," he whispered, and they began to run, weaving between fires and fallen stalls, avoiding soldiers' patrols, every step tense, every shadow a possible enemy. Suddenly, a loud shout behind them made him spin around. A group of soldiers cutting off their escape, their weapons aimed directly at them, and the human knew there was no choice. He grabbed a metal rod from a broken stall, swinging it to push them back just enough to create a small opening, and grabbed the girl's hand again, pulling her toward a narrow alley that might lead them to safety. The alley was dark and filled with debris, but it offered cover, and as they ran, he noticed strange markings on the walls, symbols glowing faintly in the smoke, almost as if the city itself was alive and watching. A sudden explosion from behind sent a shower of sparks over them, and the human fell, catching himself just in time, the girl stumbling but holding on, her trust in him unbroken. He looked down at her, determination hardening in his eyes. He would not let anything happen to her. Not here, not in this city, not in this moment. The streets behind them were chaos, the market destroyed, fires burning, and the human knew this was only the beginning, that the galaxy had just revealed a small taste of the dangers waiting for them. As they ran deeper into the alleys, the human could feel something strange in the air, a tension that went beyond soldiers and weapons, a feeling that the world he knew was ending and something much bigger was about to begin. He glanced at the girl, her small hand still gripping his, and he whispered almost to himself, "We'll survive this, together." The city behind them rumbled again, another explosion echoing through the streets, but for now they moved forward, one step at a time, hearts pounding, hope and fear intertwined. The human did not know what awaited them, but he knew one thing clearly. He would protect this girl, even if it meant facing the entire galaxy. And somewhere deep in the smoke and fire, unseen eyes were watching them, calculating, waiting, as if the universe itself had taken notice of their survival. The blast was over, but the war was just beginning, and the streets of Zarkon City had already marked them, the human and the alien girl, as something extraordinary, a spark that might ignite the galaxy itself. The human woke slowly, his eyes fluttering open to a soft, bluish light that made his skin tingle. He felt weightless at first, as if the ground beneath him had vanished, and a strange hum filled his ears, low and vibrating, unlike anything he had ever heard. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy, like it had been pressed by the blast and then left in the grip of some invisible force. His head throbbed, pain spreading through his chest and arms. Yet he was alive. And the alien girl was there too, her small form hovering nearby, eyes wide, reflecting the light around them. "Where are we?" he whispered, voice rough. And she shook her head, her silver hair floating slightly as if the air itself had lost its weight. The world around them was not the city, not the ruined streets of Zarkon, but a vast chamber of metal and glass, walls stretching high above them, glowing panels with shifting lights and alien symbols lining every surface. He rose slowly, his feet touching a smooth, cold floor, and noticed figures moving in the distance, strange shapes that did not resemble any alien he had met before, tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like liquid crystal, their eyes deep pools of light. They did not speak at first, only watched, and the human felt a chill creep up his spine, a sense that they were being studied, examined, measured, as if the human and the girl were objects in some grand experiment. The girl stepped closer to him, holding on to his hand tightly, her trembling fingers a reminder that despite the wonder of this place, fear still clung to them. Suddenly, one of the figures approached, moving with grace and precision, its voice melodic but strange. "You are awake," it said, and the human realized he could understand it somehow, the words resonating in his mind rather than his ears. "Yes," he said cautiously. "Where are we?" The figure tilted its head, eyes glowing brighter. "You were chosen, or perhaps saved. That is not for you to know yet," it said, and the human's stomach twisted, the word chosen both thrilling and terrifying. He glanced down at the alien girl who clung to him, and wondered why they had survived the blast while so many others had not. The memory of burning stalls, screaming merchants, and the chaos of the streets still fresh in his mind. Another figure stepped forward, this one smaller, with glowing lines running across its skin like circuitry. "You must learn quickly," it said. "The galaxy watches and time is short." The human's heart pounded, questions racing through his mind. What did they mean? Who was watching? Why was the girl so important? He looked at her, trying to find answers in her glowing eyes, but she seemed just as confused, just as scared. Yet something flickered there. A quiet strength, a trust he had never felt before. A loud alarm suddenly echoed through the chamber. Red lights flashing along the walls, and the strange figures moved with urgency, some gesturing toward a massive window that showed the stars outside, and beyond them, a planet of swirling green and blue, unfamiliar and beautiful. The human realized they were on a ship, a massive vessel unlike anything he had seen, and the thought made his stomach twist. How had he survived the explosion and ended up here? Who had brought them? The girl tugged at his hand, pointing toward a smaller room filled with screens and maps, holograms spinning and showing strange constellations, fleet movements and symbols he could not understand. The human followed, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had saved the girl in the streets, and now somehow the galaxy itself had become their battlefield. A voice echoed through the chamber again, this time from multiple directions. "You must protect her," it said. And the human felt a shiver run down his spine, the words simple but heavy with meaning. He looked at the girl, her small hand in his, and nodded, determination settling in his chest. He would protect her, no matter what, no matter who or what came for them. Suddenly, A projection appeared before them, a hologram of a galaxy filled with countless stars and planets, and the human realized the scale of what lay ahead. Wars raging, alliances shifting, countless lives at stake, and the girl at the center of it all. He swallowed hard, the weight of responsibility almost crushing, but he could not falter. Not when she had survived the blast because of him. A sudden movement drew his eyes to the edges of the room, where figures in darker uniforms watched silently, their intentions unclear. And he felt a spark of fear, the sense that enemies were already closing in. Even here, far from the streets of Zarkon, the girl looked up at him, her glowing eyes filled with unspoken questions, and he whispered, "We'll face this together." And somehow, in that moment, both of them knew it was more than a promise. It was a pact, a bond that would shape the future of the galaxy itself. The chamber hummed again, the lights flickering, as if the ship itself had acknowledged their determination. And somewhere deep in the shadows, the human sensed that the real trial was only beginning. The stars outside the massive windows seemed to pulse with energy, distant planets spinning, silently, and he understood faintly that their lives had become part of something immense, something unstoppable. He took a deep breath, tightened his grip on the girl's hand, and stepped forward into the unknown, the galaxy watching, waiting, and the adventure that began in the streets of Zarkon now reaching far beyond anything he could imagine. And somewhere, deep in the vastness of space, unseen eyes recorded their every move, calculating, waiting, knowing that the choices of a single human and a small alien girl could change everything. The human stepped cautiously through the long, glowing corridors of the massive ship, the alien girl's small hand still in his, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. The walls shimmered faintly, pulsing with light as if the ship itself was alive, and aware of their presence, every step echoed soft and metallic, and he felt like they were walking through a maze designed to confuse intruders. But the girl seemed to sense the path, guiding him quietly, almost instinctively, toward a chamber deeper inside. The further they walked, the more he noticed it. Symbols, etched into the walls, strange geometric patterns that glowed faintly blue, some moving slightly, changing shape as if communicating something only the ship could understand. He shivered, a strange sense of unease growing in his chest. There was something about this place, something hidden, and he realized that the blast that saved them from the streets of Zarkon was only the beginning. They reached a room filled with consoles, each displaying alien text he could not read, holographic images of star systems, planets, and vessels moving in complex patterns, and his heart skipped a beat when he saw the girl's name appear on one of the glowing displays. "Why, is she here?" he whispered, eyes scanning the screens, and she shook her head, gripping his hand tighter. I don't know," she said, voice small and trembling. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the chamber, smooth, calm, yet commanding. "You are curious," it said, and the human spun around, facing a figure that seemed to appear from the shadows itself, tall, cloaked in dark reflective armor, eyes glowing faintly green. "Yes," the human replied cautiously. "We need to know why we are here, and why they attacked the city." The figure tilted its head, studying him carefully. "The girl you protect carries something rare," it said slowly, "something the galaxy has feared for centuries." And the human felt a chill, the words heavy, almost impossible to understand. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice rising, a mix of fear and determination. "What does she have that makes everyone chase her?" The figure stepped closer, and as it moved, the light reflected off its armor, showing a network of faint lines running across its chest, glowing softly. "Her blood, her genes. They are different," it said. "She carries a sequence that can alter life itself, a power that can tip the balance of entire worlds." The human felt his stomach tighten, the weight of responsibility crashing down on him. He had thought saving her in the streets was enough, but now he realized the galaxy itself was watching, waiting, and his choices would echo far beyond their lives. He looked at the girl, her silver hair falling over her face, eyes wide and shining, innocent and unaware of the power she held, and he made a silent promise. "I will protect you." "No matter what." The figure studied him for a long moment, then spoke again. Many have tried to control her, to use her, and most have failed. You must understand the dangers ahead. Secrets are hidden in plain sight, and allies may not be what they seem. The human swallowed hard, feeling tension tighten in his chest, every instinct telling him to be careful, to watch every shadow, every movement, every whisper. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a panel flicker, a small door sliding open, revealing a dark corridor lined with glowing blue symbols, and a faint hum that seemed different from the rest of the ship, almost alive, almost watching them. "Do we go there?" the girl whispered, voice small, afraid, and he hesitated. The human knew the risk, but something told him the answers they sought were inside, hidden in the depths of the ship, waiting to be discovered. He nodded slowly, gripping her hand tightly. "Yes, but stay close. We don't know what's waiting." They stepped into the corridor, shadows stretching across the walls, strange whispers echoing in the hum of the ship, words they could not understand, yet the meaning was clear. Danger, secrecy, the weight of something ancient. As they moved forward, the human noticed faint scratches on the walls, markings that looked almost like a warning, lines and symbols etched by unknown hands, and he realized that the ship had seen countless travelers before them, many of whom had never returned. The girl shivered beside him, and he tightened his grip, whispering reassurances. But inside, fear gnawed at him, not just for their survival, but for the knowledge they were about to uncover, knowledge that could change the course of the galaxy. At the end of the corridor, they entered a chamber, unlike any other, filled with floating orbs of light, each containing strange visions, alien worlds burning in war, fleets of ships clashing in silent space. A single girl with silver hair standing at the center of it all, watched by countless eyes. The human felt his heart stop, recognizing the girl in the visions, yet knowing it was impossible. This was the future, or perhaps a warning, and he realized fully. She was not just a child, she was a key, a spark that could ignite the galaxy. From the shadows, the cloaked figure spoke again. "You see now, the galaxy is not what it seems. Secrets are everywhere. Protect her and you may survive. Fail, and everything falls into chaos." The human's hands tightened around the girl's, determination blazing in his eyes, fear mixed with resolve. "I will protect you. I don't care what it takes," he said, voice firm, unyielding, and the girl looked up at him, eyes shining with trust, and for a moment, the weight of the galaxy felt lighter because in that bond, a human and a small alien girl found strength neither knew they had. But outside, in the far reaches of space, unseen eyes recorded everything, waiting for the moment to strike, calculating the power of a human who dared protect a girl who could change everything. The secrets of the galaxy were hidden, waiting to be revealed, and the human knew without a doubt that their journey had only just begun. The human and the alien girl moved cautiously through the glowing corridors of the ship, their footsteps echoing softly, and the hum of the vessel vibrating. Through the floor beneath them, every panel of light seemed alive, shifting as if aware of their presence. He glanced at the girl, her silver hair floating slightly in the low gravity, eyes scanning every shadow, every corner, and he realized she had grown braver since the streets of Zarkon. Yet fear still lingered in her gaze. Suddenly a panel beside them slid open, revealing a small room filled with strange machines and holographic maps. And from the shadows stepped a figure unlike the others, humanoid, but with metallic, skin that glimmered like liquid silver, eyes glowing soft gold. "Who are you?" the human asked cautiously, stepping slightly in front of the girl, ready to defend her if necessary. The figure bowed slightly. "I am Kale," it said, voice calm and melodic. "I was sent to guide you, but know this. The line between ally and enemy is thin here, and trust is earned, not given." The human studied Kale, noticing the careful way it moved, the subtle glow along its arms, the precision of every gesture, and he realized that this being was powerful, capable, and perhaps the first true friend they had in this strange place. "Guide us?" he asked. "We need to understand what is happening and why everyone wants her," he said, glancing at the girl, who nodded silently, trusting him completely. Kale's eyes softened. "She carries the spark," it said. "A gift, a danger, a key to the balance of worlds. Many factions want her for their own purposes, and all will stop at nothing." And the human felt a chill, the weight of their situation pressing down harder than ever. Before he could respond, the corridor behind them shuddered violently. Lights flickering, and the soft hum turned into a low growl, a warning that danger was near. Kale's eyes narrowed. "They are here," it said, voice tense. From the shadows, figures emerged, tall and armored, eyes glowing red, weapons in hand, moving silently but with deadly precision. The human felt his heart pound, the girl trembling beside him, and he knew there was no time to think, only to act. Kale moved swiftly, hands glowing with energy, striking the enemies with precision, each movement fluid, deadly. And the human realized that whatever Kale was, it was unlike anything he had ever seen, not just strong, but intelligent, anticipating every attack. The human grabbed a fallen weapon from the floor, unsure how to use it, yet instinct guided his actions, firing at the approaching figures, each shot echoing through the corridor, and somehow, against all odds, he and Kale managed to hold the line. The girl ducked behind a console, watching fear and awe in her eyes, and he shouted to her, "Stay down! Trust me, we can get through this." The fight was brief but intense, and as the last of the red-eyed figures fell, the corridor fell silent, only the hum of the ship remaining, and the human felt sweat on his brow, heart racing, yet relief mixed with fear, for he knew this was only the beginning. Kale approached him, hand outstretched. "You have courage," it said, "and she trusts you. That is rare even among humans. But you must be prepared, more will come and they will not show mercy." The human nodded, gripping the girl's hand tightly. "We'll face them together," he said, determination hardening in his voice. The girl looked up at him, eyes shining, and he felt a strange warmth, a sense of hope. Yet Kale's warning echoed in his mind. Allies could become enemies, and enemies could appear anywhere, even in shadows that seemed safe. As they moved deeper into the ship, Kale explained more, pointing to maps of the galaxy, fleets of ships and hidden worlds. "There are factions," it said. "Some ancient, some new. All want the spark she carries. Some will fight openly. Others will strike in silence. You must learn to see what others hide." The human listened, absorbing every word, realizing that protecting her was no longer just about survival. It was about strategy, cunning, and understanding the complex web of alliances and betrayals that spanned the stars. Suddenly, a door at the end of the corridor opened, revealing a group of beings waiting, eyes glowing blue, weapons lowered, yet their stance tense. Kale's gaze hardened. "Do not trust them blindly," it warned, and the human felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down. He stepped forward cautiously, the girl at his side, and one of the blue-eyed beings spoke, voice calm. "We are here to help. The spark you protect is needed to save many worlds." The human studied them carefully, heart pounding, instinct screaming that appearances could deceive, yet something in their calm eyes felt genuine. Kale whispered, "Test them. Ask questions. Watch their reactions. Allies can be hidden enemies, and enemies can be hidden allies." The human nodded, and in that moment, he realized that the path ahead would be filled with choices, every decision shaping the fate of the girl, themselves, and perhaps the galaxy. He looked at her, silver hair glowing softly in the corridor's light, and made a silent vow, stronger than ever. "No matter who stands in our way, I will protect you." And the girl smiled faintly, trusting him completely, unaware of the enemies still watching, calculating and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The human took a deep breath, readying himself for what lay ahead, knowing that every step could bring danger or salvation, and that the journey through this galaxy, filled with secrets, allies and enemies, had only just begun. The human and the alien girl moved cautiously through the winding corridors of the ship, every step echoing softly, lights flickering faintly above them, and a low hum resonated through the walls like the heartbeat of the vessel itself. He glanced at the girl, her small hand gripping his tightly, eyes wide with both fear and determination. And he realized how much she had grown since the blast in the streets, her courage matching his own. Kale led the way, moving silently, but the human felt the tension in the air, something unseen lurking just beyond the light, shadows shifting, almost alive, and he could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. They entered a chamber filled with strange alien machinery, walls lined with glowing panels, screens showing distant stars and strange symbols that seemed to shift and move when not directly looked at. Suddenly, a low voice echoed from the darkness, smooth, chilling. "You should not be here." And the human spun, seeing a figure emerge from the shadows cloaked in black, eyes glowing a sharp crimson. The figure stepped forward slowly, each movement precise, deliberate, and the human felt a wave of fear. This presence was different from the red-eyed soldiers or the blue-eyed emissaries. It radiated control, danger, and something older, something deadly. "You are far from home, human," the figure said, voice calm yet filled with menace. "And you carry her, the one everyone fears." "I don't know why anyone fears her," the human replied, stepping slightly in front of the girl. "But I will protect her no matter what." The figure tilted its head. "Brave words, but courage alone will not save you," it said. And the air seemed to grow heavier, the hum of the ship deepening, vibrating in their bones. Kale moved beside them, hands glowing faintly, ready to strike. Yet the figure did not attack. Instead, it raised a hand and images appeared in the air between them. Visions of destruction, planets burning, fleets of ships falling in silence, and a small girl standing at the center of it all. The human's heart raced, recognizing the girl in the visions. Yet knowing that this was not the present, it was a warning, a glimpse of what could happen if they failed. "This is why she must be protected," the figure continued. "Not all who seem allies are true. Not all who seem enemies are hostile. Secrets hide in plain sight, and every choice carries a price." The girl trembled, but the human knelt beside her, whispering, "Stay close to me. Whatever happens, we face it together." The figure's eyes glowed brighter, scanning them carefully. "There are those who will stop at nothing to claim her, to use her spark for control, for power, for destruction," it said, and the human felt a chill, realizing that the galaxy itself had become a battlefield and they were at the center. Suddenly, alarms blared, red lights flashing, and the ship trembled violently, panels sparking, the low hum turning into a deep roar. Kale shouted, "They found us, move now." The human grabbed the girl's hand, running through the corridors, Kale leading, and shadows moved faster now, figures emerging from hidden compartments, weapons raised, eyes glowing with intent to kill. The human fired at the advancing enemies, heart pounding, but there were too many, moving with precision, coordination like predators surrounding prey. Yet Kale fought beside him, energy striking the attackers, keeping them at bay. They reached a chamber with a large viewport, stars stretching endlessly outside, but before they could catch their breath, the cloaked figure appeared again, stepping between them and the exit, eyes glowing crimson, voice calm. "You cannot escape the threat." The human felt panic rise, yet he clenched his jaw, determination hardening. "We will find a way. We always do," he said, and the girl squeezed his hand, courage giving him strength. Kale spoke, voice low. "There is a hidden path beneath the surface, but it is dangerous. It leads to the heart of the ship, where secrets sleep and truths lie waiting." Without hesitation, the human nodded. "Take us there," he said, and together they moved, shadows stretching along the walls, alarms blaring, the red-eyed enemies close behind. The corridor narrowed, panels glowing dimly, and the human felt the weight of every step, each one bringing them closer to discovery, and perhaps closer to death. Suddenly, a section of the floor shifted, revealing a hidden staircase. Spiraling downward, Kale gestured. "This way." The heart of the ship. The human hesitated, glancing at the girl whose eyes shone with trust, and he took a deep breath, stepping onto the stairs, leading her down into the darkness. The hum of the ship deepened, whispers echoing around them, and he knew that they were entering a place where the hidden threat waited, unseen, powerful, patient, and relentless. As they descended, he whispered to the girl, "Stay close. No matter what we see, we stay together." And she nodded, her small hand in his, eyes shining with determination. The human realized that the galaxy had changed forever, that the blast which saved them was only the beginning, and that in the shadows, enemies and secrets lurked, waiting for the moment to strike. But he would not falter, not while she was at his side, for the hidden threat was real, but so was their courage, and together they would face whatever waited in the heart of the ship. The stairs seemed endless, shadows twisting, whispers growing louder, and he knew, with certainty, that the true test was only beginning. The human led the alien girl down the spiraling staircase, the dim lights flickering above them casting long shadows that twisted like living creatures, and the low hum of the ship grew deeper, vibrating in their bones. He glanced at her, noticing how her small hand remained tightly in his, her silver hair catching the faint light, eyes wide but determined, and he realized she had learned to trust him completely, even in the darkest moments. Kale followed silently, moving with precision, scanning every shadow, and finally, the staircase ended in a massive chamber, walls lined with alien runes glowing faintly, symbols pulsating like the rhythm of a heartbeat. "This is it," Kyle said, voice low. "The heart of the ship. Secrets are buried here, and danger sleeps in every corner. Be ready for anything." The human took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment, and together they stepped into the chamber, the air thick with energy, the floor humming beneath their feet. At the center of the room, a pedestal rose from the ground, bathed in a soft golden light, and upon it, a small crystal orb floated, spinning slowly, emitting warmth, and a strange gentle glow. The alien girl gasped softly, stepping closer. That is it," she whispered, eyes fixed on the orb, and the human felt a surge of curiosity and caution, sensing that this object held the answers they had been searching for. Kale moved beside them, hands glowing faintly. "That orb contains the spark she carries," it said, eyes scanning the room. "It is the key to balance in the galaxy, and also the reason many want her dead or enslaved." The human knelt beside the girl. "Spark?" he asked, glancing at her. "What does it mean? Why do they want you?" She shook her head. "I don't know everything," she admitted softly. "Only that it is inside me, and I can feel its power. Sometimes it helps me. Sometimes it scares me." Before he could respond, the shadows in the chamber shifted, and the cloaked figure from before appeared, eyes glowing crimson, standing between them and the orb. "You are too late," the figure said, voice calm, chilling. "The spark will belong to me soon, and with it the galaxy will bend to my will." The human rose, placing himself in front of the girl, gripping the weapon he had learned to use, heart pounding. "We won't let that happen," he said, determination hardening in his voice. Kale stepped forward, hands glowing brighter, energy crackling in the air. "You underestimate them," it said, eyes fixed on the cloaked figure. "They are not alone." From the corners of the chamber, figures emerged, some red-eyed soldiers, others blue-eyed emissaries, their expressions unreadable, weapons ready, and the human realized that the cloaked figure had allies, and the room was surrounded. The girl stepped closer to the orb, hand trembling slightly. I can do this," she whispered, and the human grasped her hand firmly. "Whatever you do, we do it together." She nodded, closing her eyes, and suddenly, a wave of energy erupted from the orb, spreading across the chamber like fire, and the shadows of the enemies flickered and shifted, some thrown back, others frozen in place. The human shielded his eyes, feeling the warmth, the power, and the strange sense that the girl's spark was alive, aware, responding to her will, and he realized that she was no longer just a passenger in this fight. She was a force. Kale moved beside them, energy striking the remaining enemies, keeping them at bay, and the human fired at the few who advanced, heart racing, sweat on his brow, yet courage burning stronger than ever. The cloaked figure's eyes narrowed, stepping forward. "Do you think you can control it?" it demanded, voice echoing through the chamber. "The spark will destroy everything, including her." The girl's eyes opened, glowing faintly, silver light dancing in her pupils. "I will control it," she said firmly, and the human felt a surge of hope, seeing her courage, her will, her determination. Energy surged from the orb, wrapping around the girl, forming a protective aura, pushing back the enemies, shaking the chamber, and the human realized that the balance had shifted, that the spark was responding to her, not the cloaked figure. Kale glanced at him. "She is ready," it said, and the human nodded, gripping her hand tightly, feeling the pulse of energy, the heartbeat of the galaxy in their grasp. The cloaked figure hissed, stepping closer, but the girl raised her free hand and a wave of light shot forward, forcing the figure to stumble back. Crimson eyes wide in shock. The human realized that for the first time they had a chance, that the hidden threat could be stopped. But he also knew that the fight was far from over, that the galaxy still held dangers, and that the spark, powerful as it was, came with a cost. He looked at the girl, glowing softly, strength in her eyes, and whispered, "No matter what happens, I'm with you." She smiled faintly, hand in his, energy wrapping around them both, and the human felt a strange calm, courage surging, ready to face whatever awaited them beyond the heart of the ship. The chamber trembled, the hum deepening, shadows flickering, and he knew that the final choices were ahead, that the hidden threat was still watching, still waiting, and that the spark they now held could change everything. Together, they prepared to step forward, into the unknown, into the challenges, into the destiny that awaited, and the human realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The chamber shook violently as the human and the alien girl stood together, her hand glowing with the spark, a silver light swirling around them both, and the hum of the ship grew louder, resonating like the roar of 1,000 engines. The cloaked figure staggered back, crimson eyes blazing. "This cannot be. She was never meant to control it," it hissed, voice trembling with disbelief, and the human clenched his jaw, feeling the tension like a steel band around his chest. Kyle moved beside them, energy crackling from its hands, ready to strike at any enemy who dared come close, and the human felt a surge of gratitude, knowing that they were not alone in this final moment. The alien girl's small form shivered, but she lifted her head, eyes glowing brighter, silver patterns tracing her face, and a calm determination spread across her features. "I will protect us. I will protect the galaxy," she whispered, and the human felt a chill knowing she meant it. The orb floated higher, spinning faster, and waves of energy pulsed outward, shaking the walls, pushing back the red-eyed soldiers and blue-eyed emissaries, their weapons useless against the force radiating from the spark. The human stood tall, holding her hand, feeling the energy wrap around them, protective yet powerful, a current running through his veins, giving him strength, courage, and the knowledge that they could face anything. The cloaked figure roared, stepping forward, summoning shadows that twisted and lunged, aiming to tear the spark from her. But the girl's glow intensified, a shield of silver light forming around them, repelling every attack. Kale struck at the advancing enemies, each movement precise, powerful, the energy flowing like water, guiding the human and the girl through the chaos, keeping the chamber from being overrun. Suddenly, the orb exploded in a blinding light, enveloping the entire chamber. And for a moment, the human could see nothing, hear nothing, only feel the pulse of energy like a heartbeat echoing through his bones. Then slowly, the light dimmed, revealing the aftermath. Enemies frozen, some on their knees, some retreating, the cloaked figure thrown back, staggering, eyes wide with fear and disbelief. The human glanced at the girl, seeing her glow fading, slowly but the spark still alive, humming softly, and he realized that she had changed, that her power was no longer something to fear, but something to protect, something that could guide them. Kale stepped forward, voice low. "The spark is Hers. She has claimed it, mastered it. The hidden threat is weakened, but do not be careless. The galaxy will notice and challenges will come. The human nodded, feeling pride, awe, and a strange sense of peace. We faced it together, he said, glancing at the girl, whose eyes met his, filled with trust and courage. Outside, the ship's stars shifted strangely, as if the galaxy itself paused, watching, waiting, acknowledging the power that had been unleashed, a force that could not be ignored, and the human realized that this moment would be remembered for generations. The cloaked figure rose slowly, wounded but alive, eyes still glowing crimson, and a whisper carried through the chamber. This is not over. Yet the human and the girl did not flinch, their resolve unbroken. The girl smiled faintly, energy wrapping around her like a gentle wave. We have each other. That is enough, she said softly, and the human felt warmth in his chest, knowing she was right. Kale guided them to the ship's controls, showing them how to stabilize the vessel, how to move safely through the galaxy, and the human realized that the adventure was not over, but the immediate danger had passed. The human stepped to the viewport, looking out at the endless stars, the silence of space after the storm, and he felt a strange calm, the weight of what they had survived sinking in. The girl leaned against him, small hand in his, and whispered, "Thank you for saving me, for staying with me." And the human smiled, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. No one else mattered. Only you. Kale spoke, voice echoing softly in the chamber. The galaxy will change, but she will guide it, wisely. The spark is a light in the darkness, and she has chosen the right path. The human nodded, feeling hope, courage, and a sense of purpose, knowing that the galaxy had been shaken, the hidden threat revealed, and yet, with the girl by his side, there was a chance for peace, for healing, for a new beginning. As the ship soared through space, stars stretching endlessly around them, the human held the girl close, feeling the sparks gentle hum beneath their hands, and he knew that no matter what challenges awaited, they would face them together, unstoppable, unbroken. Outside, the galaxy watched silently, a world full of possibilities, of dangers, of wonders. Yet for the first time, the human and the alien girl felt that they were not powerless, that their courage, their bond, and the spark they protected could shape the future. The human took a deep breath, looking at the stars, the girl's hand still in his, and whispered, "The world will never forget this moment." And for a moment, the galaxy stood still, watching, listening, as two unlikely heroes moved forward, ready to face destiny side by side.